MS Now's Vaughn Hilliard joins me now from the White House. Also with me, former Democratic Senator from Montana, Jon Tester, also an MS Now political analyst. Chris O'Leary is a former senior FBI official as well as an MS Now national security and intelligence analyst. So, Chris, looking at this footage out of Georgia, it's clear there no notice was given, that the warrant itself, at least initially, had some problems. Are you surprised by how all of this unfolded? What do you see when you watch this?
Well, what I see is highly disturbing, and the FBI being used as a weapon against political allies or political adversaries, and unfortunately, the rebirth of the big lie. I mean, it looks like the president is anchoring this narrative that there's a manufactured crisis again with our electoral system, dating all the way back to 2020, which has been disproven. Who you see there is the acting special agent in charge, Pete Ellis, who I actually happen to know personally. But he's the acting special agent in charge because the special agent in charge of the Atlanta office, Paul Brown, another career professional, was pushed out just a week before this all went down. So you tether that together with Tulsi Gabbard's presence and the deputy director of the FBI, Andrew Bailey, both MAGA advocates down in Atlanta. This is all incredibly inappropriate and I think very concerning for all Americans as we bring in our 250th year of our democracy. It looks like the Constitution's attempt to be shredded right in front of our own eyes.
So you add to that what we're seeing in this video, Senator, the remarks by the president to nationalize voting. And again, details are scarce. But he says he wants to fix a problem that numerous investigations and studies have shown does not exist. In your mind, should American voters be worried about this?
Yeah, they damn right should be worried about this. I mean, you nationalize the elections and you are going to have fraud, not only by folks who want to do reasons, but also by foreign countries. Influence our elections. So not only is this unconstitutional, and what makes this really bad, Chris, is that this administration hasn't really felt strongly about the first, second, fourth, the list goes on, amendments to the Constitution. To take voting rights to the national level is patently unconstitutional. And by the way, it opens itself up for incredible amounts of fraud, especially when you see this administration politicizing every agency within his administration.
Vaughn, the president suggested nationalizing elections almost casually. Are people telling him he has the power to do this? What do we know is the backstory here, if there is one?
It is not clear who would be telling him not to talk about trying to nationalize the midterm elections. We're 10 months away. And if you go back to, I think it's important, December 2020, in the aftermath of his election loss there, Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn, among others, made their way to the Oval Office and effectively pitched the then president of the United States on a would-be effort to seize voting machines. There was a draft of such an effort in the form of an executive order that was revealed by the January 6th Select Committee. And ultimately, he never issued that executive order or sought to do it. But the fact that we already have a history of his White House suggesting and considering such an attempted effort there is, I think, notable when you're looking at the president using the word nationalize to describe his intended efforts around these midterm elections. We should be very clear. Article 1 of the Constitution gives the power expressly to states and local jurisdictions to run their elections. The one way in which Washington, D.C. could impact the way votes and elections are conducted is through decisions and laws passed by Congress. Of course, we have seen Republicans in past years attempt to pass laws that would strengthen voter identification requirements. Democrats in 2021 tried to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act to set further pre-clearance orders for states seeking to make changes at the state level. Of course, there was the For the People Act as well that would have tried to make voter registration automatic and expand mail-in voting. But all of that through the Constitution would be done at the congressional level and signed into law by the president. But for this commander-in-chief to suggest that he could potentially try to nationalize and have a federal takeover, I think has already been echoed by some Democratic members of Congress who this last year expressed concerns that the president of the United States, Chris, could could try to justify such a national takeover by making the suggestion that there was a national emergency of some sort and that it would be incumbent upon Washington, D.C. and a federal takeover to ultimately administer elections come November.
So, Senator, in addition to Senator Thune, we have response from another Republican, Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon, who's retiring. He tweeted, quote, I opposed nationalizing elections when Speaker Pelosi wanted major changes to elections in all 50 states. I'll oppose this now as well. But look, you know the folks. You've watched what's happened on the right. The president says he wants to do this. A, can Congress do anything to stop it? And B, do you think they will?
Well, Congress
Senator?
can absolutely do something to stop it. Congress can act in their purview to stop it. This is against the Constitution. And I will say this, Chris, I think it's good that John Thune spoke out against this and that Representative Bacon is speaking out against this. It needs to be a bipartisan effort. Our Constitution is an incredible document. It's being undermined as we speak. We don't want to undermine it on this issue. It's bad for democracy. And by the way, in Venezuela, in Russia, in China, those elections are nationalized. We don't want to go down that road.
I just wonder, Chris O'Leary, and you know, you talked about Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, finally offering an explanation, or what was her explanation for why she was at the FBI raid in Georgia, because she says she's ensuring the integrity of U.S. elections, and that falls under her purview. Does it?
It does not. So the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which was created amongst all the changes that happened after 9/11, effectively created a policy shop. I mean, and it's a synchronizer. It was intended to make sure information flowed between intelligence agencies. She is essentially the chief intelligence officer in the U.S. government. Her presence on a domestic law enforcement operation where a warrant, a judicially signed warrant was served to overcome protections of the Fourth Amendment is incredibly alarming. And I'll just give you a point that really drives it home. Members of the intelligence community cannot see U.S. person information when it's collected by the FBI and we're sharing information with intelligence agencies. Those U.S. persons are masked. Their identities are only unveiled if there's a demonstrated connection to foreign intelligence. So her presence there, incredibly unusual, incredibly alarming. Deputy Director Bailey being there, also equally alarming, because the Deputy Director doesn't generally leave Washington, D.C., and they certainly don't go out on search warrants, which happen across the FBI every day, and you don't see cabinet-level officials inserting themselves into this. And then lastly, the President of the United States calling field agents to influence them on their investigation is incredibly disturbing as well. So all of this is so far from normal and continues to build that I think we're heading towards something that could be very concerning and a real threat to our democracy, which is what people warned about. And people were saying, critics were saying, well, you're blowing this out of proportion. We're seeing it play out in front of our own eyes right now, and it needs to be stopped.